So I'm standing in front of a gorse. Now this is a very lovely plant. It's a bit spiky, but I just want to tell you a bit about its history. One of the benefits of it in nature recovery is the pollination. So it's an early source of nectar for bumblebees, as is the blackthorn. If you turn around that way, you can see the abundance of blackthorn, the white snow-like trees are going all the way around this, which was once a meadow. And so in the olden days, before everybody had the money to build a barn, what they used to do is they used to make hay ricks, and hay ricks were built on top of gorse. One of the other names for it is furze. So often you'll see furze fields and furze hill and all things like that. Like you get Box Hill for Box Hill because it had lots of box trees on. So this was also called furze. So they'd make a platform on the ground and then they'd lay a lot of hay on top of that and they'd start building off of that. The reason being is that the gorse or furze helped aerate the hay so it didn't get so damp and mouldy, but it also stopped the rats and mice and rabbits and anything else that wanted to crawl in there, and probably the little kids as well. So that's one of the important things about gorse and about its history. And I went to New Zealand some years ago before I gave up flying, and I noticed over there that it is a problem because we introduced it back in the day, and loads of other British plants. It's taken over and it's a real problem now, because they would have taken it over there for putting the hay on. Anyway, there's some other plants here. There's this little one called ground ivy, which is, I'll bring some up to the camera. This is a beautiful little plant. It's a ground cover plant. It makes a really nice herbal tea, and you can see the lovely little flowers. And that's one of the things I love about wild flowers, is they might be small, but if you get a magnifying lens on them, the beauty is incredible. This here is a oxlip. Now this is crossed. It's a primula, the same as primrose and the same as cowslip. Now the bumblebee or the other insect went to the primrose and then it went to the cowslip and moved around, and all these things they cross-pollinated. And this is actually a false oxlip, because the real true oxlips, I think they only grow somewhere in the east. So they're not as abundant as one would expect, but this is a false oxlip, a cross between a primrose and a cowslip. Now behind me is a pile of grass cuttings. Now if you come over here, I want to just stick my hand into this and just talk about the importance of doing grass piles right. So in your garden, when you cut the grass and you pile it up into a big pile like this, you quite often find that it is slimy. You see that? It's got no air in it. So it's gone anaerobic. Now when compost goes anaerobic, it's producing alcohols and a lot of gases and things like that. So it takes a long time to break down. You can see it is breaking down. It's got mycelium strands in it, so the mycelium is breaking it down. And you do get worms in there, like the tiger worms and things like that. But what you can do, if you wanted to make good compost, is you can either leave it on the grass. You can leave it on the grass for a few hours and let the sun dry it, and then go round with your mower, picking it up and put it onto the compost heap dry, and then it's getting air in it and you get aerated compost. And it's the aerated aerobic bacteria that actually do a lot of the work, and the thermophilic bacteria. But when it gets really slimy like this, there's a few worms in here that actually help aerate it, but not an abundance of them, and quite often it just gets slimy and it takes ages to rot down and isn't really that good for your garden. So like I say, if you leave the grass cuttings on the grass and then leave it a few hours till they're dry, take the mower over them and then put them on the compost heap, then you can add some maybe sticks and other stuff, and then put your green stuff on top of that. So if you do it in small layers, it's all right, but in big masses like this, it's a non-goer really, because it's the aerated compost that breaks down a lot quicker. There you are. And you can see around the edges, you can see the stinging nettles growing. You've got this. The stinging nettles make an amazing vegetable. When you get the stinging nettles like this, they're really nutritious, one of the best things. And with vegetables these days, a lot of them haven't got the nutrients in because the biome of the soils on a lot of fields has been either washed away or over-ploughed, over-fertilised or over-chemicaled in other ways. And that is not the fault of the farmer, because they're just doing what intergenerational things do. And that all started after the First World War, when the First World War they discovered how to get ammonia from the air, and they created fertilisers and munitions and things like that. And after the war, the munitions weren't needed, so they made fertilisers more, and that's what's progressed, and it's taken a lot of the biome away from the soil. So that needs recovering as well, and we'll be talking about that at a later date. But things like stinging nettles, and this one, which is called sticky willy or goose grass, again is a very nutritious vegetable. Really good spring tonic, and it supports the liver and many other things, which you can always look up. And you can see the ground ivy that I was talking about earlier. Because of this compost here, it's grown a lot bigger, so it's a lot more nutritious as well. So that, again, that makes a vegetable, but have it in small quantities because it is rather strong, but it makes a really amazing compost tea. Now these three together, not a compost tea, a herbal tea. Now these three together, ground ivy, stinging nettle and goose grass, is one of my favourite not compost teas, herbal teas. So I'm going to take some back, but I'm going to wash my hands first. Right, that's that then. Let's go and have a cup of tea.